I think something that separates us is we really look to give a fair offer and put our clients in a position where they're better off from selling their property and better off than working with someone else who might not be able to offer them what we're able to give them. We're buying the property. The fastest we've closed is 7 days. Payoffer.net, facebook.com/payoffer.
And the phone number is 423-243-0000.
University Motors of Chattanooga, 423-713-5800. NOOGAUsedCars.com, 713-5800. That's NOOGAUsedCars.com.
You're listening to the NOOGA Radio Network.
NOOGA Radio.
Well, this is the Patriot Pastor Show. My name's Maisel Duncan. I'm here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm your drive home guy, 3 to 6 p.m. We now have 4 stations that have made the NOOGA network. We stretch into Georgia, down to Chickamauga, all the way up through Chattanooga. If you go through Ooltewah and those areas up through Cleveland. I've even got friends in Athens that are picking up the show. And many are using different kind of devices such as TuneIn, Radio Box, and Radio Garden. Those are called apps. Couldn't come up with that a minute ago. If you want to download an app on your smartphone or smart device, you can say, Alexa, play NOOGA Radio on TuneIn, or play NOOGA Radio on Radio Box or Radio Garden. I've also used my smartphone. One time I wanted to hear David Toulis, and I said, Siri, play NOOGA Radio on TuneIn. And I got to hear the David Toulis show through my smartphone into my truck because it's connected that way. You guys do what you can, but we appreciate you spreading the word. If you can like and share the show. Been talking about some various things today. I had David Toulis on the first segment and his legal challenge against the state, and you should listen to his show. It'll come on after mine. He'll explain more about that. I've also been talking about John Rich, the country music star, who has the #1 song, Progress, without record labels backing and a lot of stations not wanting to play it because it's not politically correct. But it's #1. Why? Because there's more patriots than they want to acknowledge. Thus, people like the Patriot Pastor. Let me explain to you a couple of things. The big news of the weekend, I've been saving this towards the middle of the show because I pick up a lot of listeners about now. This is the big drive home traffic time. And the big discussion everyone's talking about is the FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago. Very various opinions on this, but I thought you might want to know some insights, and I just thought I'd give them to you. There's a Judge Bruce Reinhart who signed the warrant to raid Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago. Did you know, though, Judge Bruce Reinhart previously worked for, are you ready for this? Jeffrey the molester Epstein. Yes, Judge Bruce Reinhart was a lawyer representing Jeffrey the pervert Epstein. So what do you think this is? Is this payback? Is this trying to get back at Trump that took away his gravy train? Because, you know, being a lawyer for Jeffrey Epstein probably brought him in a lot of money and probably some sexual favors, who knows? But this perverted judge signed the warrant, and Judge Bruce Reinhart, remember that name, Judge Bruce Reinhart from the Southern District of Florida, reportedly signed off on the warrant to raid President Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago on Monday night. Joe Biden sent the FBI raid to President Trump's home in a fishing expedition. Why would they do that? A couple of reasons. One, the January 6th trial has been a joke. The ratings are nothing. No one's watching it. Secondly, all the testimonies that they give, even though they won't allow rebuffing in their little courtroom, on public social media and in other radio shows, they're getting torn to shreds. Like the lady that said Trump overpowered 3 Secret Service and tried to take over the motorcade car. Come on, that's impossible. So these lies and lunatics are losing, so they get desperate. So they send FBI either to plant evidence or to gain evidence, and we'll find out which. But a source familiar tells Book Singman that the FBI agents went to Mar-a-Lago and looked in every single office, safe, and grabbed documents and boxes without going through them on the property. The source said they took boxes and documents to go through later. Let's see if they don't try to maybe throw something in that really wasn't there. Judge Bruce Reinhardt, the pervert judge who was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer, a magistrate judge for the Southern District of Florida, used to work for Jeffrey Epstein and signed the warrant. How does somebody that worked for Jeffrey Epstein get promoted to judge? Does that make sense to you? But does it make sense why he signed the warrant? Because if Joe Biden goes down with Hunter Biden, who, by the way, you may not know this, in Florida, when you go to Epstein Island, which was also known as Little St. James Island, and on Disney cruises, you used to stop the cruises between St. James and Little St. James Island for snorkeling. Do some research on that. You might not like what you find. There's an island 2 miles up. It doesn't have a sexy name. It's just Joe Biden's island under his brother's name. Understand? The Hunter Biden mess is spreading. So they've got to find something on Trump. Sources tell the Post that Judge Bruce Reinhardt approved a warrant that enabled FBI agents to converge on the southern Florida estate on Monday in what Trump called an unannounced raid on my home. For some reason, in 2018, he was elevated to magistrate judge after 10 years in private practice. How in the world does this guy that represented a sexual predator get a promotion in 2018? Who was the genius that did that? Only God knows. We'll take you to another article, and this one is interesting. Arizona Republican nominee Kari Lake responds to FBI attack on Mar-a-Lago. Now, this is what we should be hearing from the GOP if you truly are a conservative. As governor, I will fight these tyrants with every fiber of my being. Now, the Gateway Pundit reported President Trump's Florida home was raided, and it's a prosecutable misconduct, the weaponizing of the Justice Department, an attack by radical left Democrats who desperately don't want me to run for president in 2024. Now, one thing I will say, I'm interested to hear, why has Governor DeSantis been silent? If you are complicit in this, sir, because you want to up your polls, because at the CPAC poll, Trump's numbers climbed. He had 99.9% approval rating of the CPAC attendees, the highest ever of anybody that was polled. He also has increased his popularity among the conservatives at the CPAC to where he's nearly 80% approval. DeSantis is second, but he's down in the 20s. I sure hope, DeSantis, you're not wink, wink, just allowing this to happen. Don't tell me that you didn't know it was coming. If you didn't know it's coming, why didn't you engage it? Why haven't you denounced it? Now, you may have since I've been on my show, but DeSantis, if anyone has a hotline to the governor, we're expecting someone to say something on behalf of not just President Trump, but a Floridian. You're allowing one of your people to be prosecuted and treated this way. Shameful. Now, this is a rhino, Tim Scott, who I thought was a good guy. And know what he says? We need to just let this play out. Now, what in the world is Tim Scott? There's been lots of questions before this raid about whether or not the FBI is doing their job, their political job politically. We don't know the answer to that question yet. This is going to raise more questions, in my opinion. We need to let this play out and see exactly what happens But we shall all be stunned and surprised and shocked at what happened yesterday. Now, you're playing the middle there. This guy's concerning me, but let's hear what he has to say.
We are joined now by Republican Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina. He is here because he's the author of a new book. It's called America, A Redemption Story. Senator, good morning.
Thank you.
The book right here. It's a good read. I think it's going to connect with a lot of people. It's got 2 chapters on the former president, President Trump. You clearly have a good relationship with him. He's very nice to your mom.
Yes.
But we're at this extraordinary moment in American history where that former president is the subject of multiple investigations, and his home was searched by the FBI overnight. So I have to put the question to you. Do you still feel that he is the best representative of the Republican Party?
Certainly is the largest voice in American politics, period, Republican or Democrat, and it looks like he'll continue to be. The more focus you put on him, the more likely the supporters will rally around him. There is a huge divide in our country.
But wait a second before you go, Senator.
You didn't answer the question. Senator, answer the question.
That wasn't the question.
You said largest, which is largest objectively true, right? He won a straw poll.
But do you still think
best representation?
Yes.
Well, I mean, the good news is I get to answer the question how I see that question. But the truth is that he is, without any question, the most powerful voice in all of politics, and that's why so many people, left and right, continue.
He still won't answer the question. Senator Tim Scott, answer the question.
To focus on President Trump.
Yeah, but why this is such a dangerous moment in our history, and a lot of people have pointed this out, is because we are divided. There are wings of our government that are supposed to be nonpartisan, but now seem to be politicized. And one of those wings.
Can you guys not see this? Tim Scott, bless his heart, he must have went in for one of those spinal ectomies. They removed his spine. Coward. Well, we go on to the next one here. Now, this one may shock you, but CNN legal analyst says FBI raid on Mar-a-Lago not warranted. Daring and dangerous move by Department of Justice. Now, this is a CNN legal analyst. I'm kind of shocked that a liberal would say this unless they're just wanting ratings. But there are dark times for our nation as my beautiful home, Mar-a-Lago, this is Trump, in Palm Beach, Florida, is currently under siege, raided and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. Nothing like this has ever happened to a president of the United States before. And that is true. That is true. So if this becomes a Presidential Records Act violation, no more do you think it's enough to warrant all of this. CNN's Kate Bullock asked analyst Paul Callahan, and this guy's far left, no, it's not enough to warrant all this, and it's a daring and dangerous move by the Department of Justice to serve a warrant on a former president. Now, that is a CNN analyst. Let's hear it for yourself.
I think one thing everyone agrees on is there are a lot of questions here, Paul. A lot of questions. There are not a lot more answers to come. We've heard a lot about the Presidential Records Act now and have for quite some time. If this becomes a Presidential Records Act violation, not more, do you think it is enough to warrant all of this?
No, it's not enough to warrant all this. And this is a daring and dangerous move by the Department of Justice to serve a warrant on a former president and to raid his personal residence.
Booyah. Thank you so much for being truthful there, my friend. That is a liberal CNN legal analyst saying this was not a good move and it's dangerous. Hillary Clinton's attorney, Mark Elias, outlines corrupt Democratic plans behind Mar-a-Lago raid and admits it's 100% political. This, my friends, is amazing. Mark Elias is Hillary's attorney, her failed 2016 presidential campaign on the election, and Elias kept her out of jail to date. Okay, but this guy is going on record saying this is 100% political. It's an attack against Trump. Creepy Hillary's attorney, Mark Elias, receives a spanking from Supreme Court in redistricting case, but etc. When you go down, he says the media is missing the really, really big reason which the raid today is potentially blockbuster in American politics. Now, this is Mark Elias. 18 U.S. Code 2071, concealment, removal, or mutilization generally. And he goes on to highlight, shall forfeit his office and be disqualified from holding any office under the United States. What they're trying to do is get something on Trump so he can't run in 2024. DNC, you are chicken, and you know it.
You're listening to the NOOGA Radio Network.
NOOGA Radio.